let's just leave a minute for you guys to get seated. And thank you, Jeff, for the introduction. Looks like there's still a lot of going in and out, so let's just leave it one more minute. Okay, so why don't I start? So thank you, Jeff, for the introduction. I'm, as he said, a co-owner of Edenspiekermann. We are a privately held company, agency, based in Berlin and other places. And what I want to talk about today is about how we are constantly developing and how we're trying to redefine what we think is an agency, almost what feels like every day. I think maybe because we're privately owned and not part of a big network, it feels like we have a little bit more freedom to experiment and to think more about, what's the role of an agency, what's the business proposal we have, and how are we developing over time. Now, when I look back about only 2 or 3 years ago, we were in a completely different place. We're in a place where we had a big focus on creating great brand experience that were maybe digital, but maybe not digital. And within the last 2 or 3 years, we have dramatically changed into becoming a multidisciplinary company with working agile, doing all the right things, working with Scrum, and we have been very, very successful, I think, in what we're doing. We've had some great customers, but our focus today is still what we define as being a project-related business. So these great companies come to us and they ask us to do a project. We redefine the problem, we go through the usual phases, and at the end, there is a question of maybe maintenance or redefinition, but basically we get projects in, we develop them, and then we have a good customer relationship waiting for the next project. So working in this way, we have developed some great things, like last year we did the new font shop. This is an e-commerce platform where you can buy, browse, get inspiration in 7,000 different kinds of fonts. This was a project where we worked closely with the project owners, font shop, and just after we had finished this project, font shop actually got purchased by a big organization and had even more traffic on this website than they could even imagine. We also do projects like this one for Bosch, redefining the way they sell their Bosch accessoires worldwide. Or this one, which I like a lot, this is a startup called Get Your Guide. They came to us 2 years ago, and we helped them redefine their proposal, their business proposal, and their design, their UX, so that they could actually become so successful as a startup that they could acquire their biggest competitor, and now they're market leaders. So a project, the last one that is typical for our business, this is Betton Archives. This is the world's biggest archive for Buddhist literature. So their vision was to make all the knowledge in the world about Buddhism accessible for everybody. So behind this very simple entrance, there are actually 10,000 pages of knowledge about Buddhism. So all these projects are some that we have been developing and that we have been very successful with in our business, in our project, our way of conducting business as a project-oriented business. But I would like to go back in time to just ask this question, is this still the way of doing business for agencies? Because we begin to see that it is not enough anymore. We begin to see a lot of differences in the way customers come to us, clients come to us, and ask for collaboration. So in a way, this should make all design agencies, certainly makes us redefine the way we think about how we do our business. If I think about, how fast we have developed, I would like to just take you back in time. This was actually 2007, and in 2007, mobile experiences looked like this. Now, this is not long ago. Probably a lot of you were actually at university in those years, and this is the basis of how we work. And only 3 years later, this in 2010, this was what it looked like. Much different, a completely different user experience. Can I take this one and hold it in my hand? Yes, I actually can. So today, most of us are consuming mobile. We have a mobile device in our hands all of the time. You've heard this 100 times. But think about how far and how much our business has changed since 2007. I think it's pretty amazing. And the question is, how much has our business model and our value proposition as a design agency actually changed in that time? I don't think it has changed that radically, and I think we have to face the fact that we are changing and have to change all the time. So actually, this was only 2009. This was the last Nokia, the mobile phone that was launched just before the launch of this device, which completely changed the way we looked and we consumed mobile, and at the end, we are here today in this radical transformation. So yes, our business is changed by technology, our design business, and I think we have to constantly be aware of the fact that this is something that we have to relate to. So one case I would like to show you and discuss with you is something that we have been spending some time on, content-driven experiences in digital editorial. Now, within the last 2 years, we have been working for some big publishing houses throughout Europe. We've been working in Switzerland. Right now working for the Economist Group, and we have also been working for Zeit Online, a very big German newspaper, and this is what we are experiencing. They are facing a world where more than 50% of online news are consumed on mobile devices. But editors still work in very old frameworks, often not speeding up the development of their technology to keep up with this pace. Also, the content and the way we consume content and the reading behavior has changed. So we want it to be much easier, much relevant, and much more on the point. So publishers, of course, have to invest a lot of money constantly to create these new formats. This is how we consume on mobile, rich formats, lots of experiences, and this is what content often looks like on mobile devices when you read your newspaper every day. So journalistic formats, in a way, are very often stuck with very little tools. So our vision in all these projects was actually to develop a toolbox, a toolbox with a lot of variety, offering a lot of different formats to present the content on mobile for the publishing houses. While publishing seemed to be a war zone sometimes when you look at the challenges that the editors and the publishers we work together with are facing. Firstly, they need to create awesome content. And secondly, they also need to present the content in new ways. They need to distribute the content and they need to find new ways of monetizing the content. Ads and paywalls are not really business concepts that are working very well. It's not going down very well with the consumers, so they need to rethink the way they actually earn money. At the same time, they need to invest a lot in technology to keep up. So here is where we as designers can play a role in actually supporting them and helping them. What we did in this field, together with Zeit Online, one of the biggest newspapers in Germany, I would like to show you in a few slides here. So we worked for 1.5 years closely with the publishers and with the product team at Site Online. We also work closely with a sounding board of consumers and users, to redefine and the reading experience in the Site Online, which is a medium that's used by 9 million users a month and with 150 million page views. So doing so, we started thinking in themes instead of in articles. Thinking in themes means that you have the same theme and you have very rich and different ways of distributing these themes online. And this was our vision that we shared with Site Online. And after about a year, this is the result, this is what came out of it, this is what you read online. So it has a much richer feeling to it. It has a much different reading experience, and it has a lot of possibilities for the publisher, for the journalists, for the writers to actually use different formats and tell their stories in visual ways. But we still had another need. We saw that there was still a need to give editors even more freedom to sort of get around the big content management systems in the publishing houses and have more freedom to, on their own, amplify their stories and tell their stories across all devices, just maybe in a very short period of time and without the help of any designers. Site Online also saw this need, but unfortunately, and this is, I think, a situation that we will run into very often, they did not have any more budgets left. So they said to us, we think we need this would be awesome if we could have this, but we can't really finance this all alone, so would you like to finance this with us? Up until now, we had looked at, as I said, at ourselves as being a project-run agency. We get the sum of money for the projects we do, but we had not thought about investing in product development. So we did. We said, okay, we will, and we started working with Site Online in a design thinking process where we worked with editors and also readers on ways of telling the stories. So we developed a little game, and they came up with ideas and ways of telling nice stories dependent on different personas which they had interviewed and developed before the workshop. We did a lot of these workshops, and at the end of it, we had a lot of feedback, we had a lot of good ideas, and all the workshops ended with one prototype that was prototyped in Marvel that was very easily accessible for everybody who were part of the workshop, and they went out and tested the workshop, sent us the feedback, and that also fed into our product development. This is basically the process, the way it matured in the process. It started out being a very basic idea about cards. So what we liked was an idea about some cards that could be very easily swiped, and we played with that idea a lot, and what you see in the middle was the first prototype, but because it was square, a lot of the readers thought it was ads. It looked more like ads, so we had to redevelop and redesign it. And we also got feedback from the people by Site Online who were our sounding board throughout the 1.5-year design process. So how did we get from feature to product? What we did was, just to tell you, to show our product, what we did was we built a simple mini CMS. It needed to be smart, good, and easy to use because we wanted editors to think that it was something that they really liked to use. Also, we thought about the cards. We wanted the cards to come together, so you have to imagine the editors design their cards very easily in this CMS, and they tell a little story where each card is sort of a chapter of the story. And at the end we wanted it to be multi-platform, so we wanted stacks that could be individualized in their design and used for different brands, for different
editors and for a lot of different publications. And together with Zeit Online, we went into this production, and this is what came out of it. This is the way you experience it today at Zeit Online. But also right now we're talking to other companies that they want to adapt these cards and this idea because of the ease of use and because it's very easily applicable on all devices. So the simple CMS at the moment, this demo version we have looks like this. We've been testing it and we are constantly developing it with the feedback we get from publishing houses. We have a wide selection of templates, actually going from very rich templates with a lot of visualization to also having templates where you can make choices or have guesses or go in different directions, path out to different card stacks. And this is a little demo of a card stack about the bloody moon. It does work a little bit strangely here on this device, but it's meant to be smooth. This is of course you swiping, so it's not going automatically. You do it on mobile with your fingers. Swipe your cards a little bit like you do on Tinder. So there are lots of different choices. Well, we had this product almost finished, whereas I must say, when is a product finished when you develop it yourself in a design office? Probably never. So we have this product, which we think is very close to being finished, but we need to, of course, also think about selling it. Now, we're a design organization, not a sales and marketing organization. So right now, this is a screenshot from last night. This is what we're doing. We're building a brand for it, and we're building a website presenting it so that we can also sell it to other publishing houses. As a design agency, that feels that's a new experience for us, but I think that we have to face doing this and actually think about how we can get into collaborations with our clients and develop products together that are not only single-use, custom-made, expensive, heavy programming products, but that can also be sold and used for multiple purposes. So basically what we learned is this: the design-driven versus a product-driven culture does have some challenges, but also has some very interesting aspects. Firstly, we have learned that it doesn't change, this culture doesn't change overnight into a sales and service organization, and maybe we have to keep this separate. Maybe we need to have a creative space where we can experiment and design without being worried about design, without being worried about sales, and without being worried about numbers. This could be something that we have to work with in the future. We also learned that if you ask designers in the office, the product is never good enough. There's always a little tweak, there's always something you can do to make it better, there's always something you can do to make it even more awesome because it's your own product. But for clients, it's okay to have limited budgets, but it's not okay for your own. We also learned that designers like to invent new stuff, but building a product is a learning process. We like the process, but it's certainly different from the everyday business we're doing. And last but not least, we learned that setting up sales and maintenance workflows requires, as I said, a different mindset and culture. But I think that design agencies should rethink their business models and think more about how they could become more product-driven and less development-driven and less project-driven to actually meet these demands of limited budgets, but big expectations about
rich content formats. So thank you from mine.